Okay, so I just kind of want to go over our options here. Now, to me, this looks like it was done. Yeah, this is like a paint. So let's go ahead and skip the deck for now. But wow, this siding looks interesting, as if it's already got something on it, but it's probably just weathered. Whoever did this stuff made it so we cannot stain it. So this has to be painted, all the caulking and everything and all this. I was going to recommend to keep it light, going with a stain. And you see a lot of stained houses around here. Stain would look like this, basically. It would keep the wood grain showing through, just like this, just like this. It puts a clear coat on it. Now, absolutely stick with stain for the decking. I would hope that you would rip out this railing and continue like this, because this is going to be the best to maintain. Now this, because of the way it's done, and whoever did that caulking did you no favors. Why did they do that? I apologize, but like this stuff is unacceptable. It's just very sloppy caulking. I don't mean to knock on your carpenter or whoever, but it's all cracked here. That's not done at the bottom. It's a very sloppy job. And if you're going to do that, now you've limited what we're able to do with this siding here. But this siding is thirsty, very thirsty, and it needs to be dealt with. But why would you... man. It's all split here. So everything that's caulked is going to have to be gone over because they didn't do a very good job with it. Oh, man. Okay. We got problems. You never want to caulk underneath a window, ever. Because if moisture gets in there, now it's trapped in there and it has no way to get out. You never want to do that. You never want to do this. This is not, it's not catastrophic, but I mean, whoever did that should rip out that bottom trim, in my opinion, and replace it for free. You don't want to caulk the underneath, because what happens is when you have water drainage, let's say moisture gets in up here, and we caulk the tops, but you don't need to where the eave is protecting it. Caulk the tops, caulk the sides, but if somehow moisture is behind there, it needs to have somewhere to drain out. So you leave the bottom uncaulked. You don't do that. This would be a challenge, but we got hook ladders to get up in here. Anyway, let's go ahead and look for things I need to address first. But what I would recommend now is you've got to pick a paint color. So to keep it light, I've got a fan deck. You've got a bunch of choices to choose from. Why would they caulk the nail holes? I would never hire this carpenter again. And I hope it wasn't you guys. I don't mean to... But, yeah, caulking the undersides of windows. I know that they meant well, but anyway, what we want to do first, I don't think it needs to be pressure washed except in the eaves. We want to get any flaking paint off of there, the fascia. We could rinse off the siding, but it doesn't need to be gone over really heavy. So now we're pretty much married. This has got to be painted, and it looks like it might be pre-primed anyway. So that would be something to look into because of the color of this. It may be pre-primed. Usually what I would do is I'd take a pole sander over all of this real quick. I would recommend that still, just to knock down any of the big burrs. We're going to assume that this is pre-primed. That's my guess, just because of the color of it. So we're just going to go over it with paint. 2 coats of paint for the first time painting it is what I would recommend. Now, I would go over, I mean, their caulking is going to have to be checked because it wasn't the greatest job. All this fascia needs to be pressure washed, scraped, and primed. Around here, I kind of pull some away from the house so that I can spray down below the surface of the dirt. And then kick all the rocks back so you don't see any overspray. Again, we've got caulking. Anyway, I'm going to let that go for now. So what we need to decide next is, I see different things going on with trim. We have different colors of trim here, and I'm not exactly sure what this, I'm pretty sure this is to keep the snow from breaking your windows. But painting the trim behind it is the thing. So do I pull off this whole thing and paint back here? Or am I pulling off the plexiglass and painting the front? Ideally, you'd probably want to do both. I would say, however these things come off, you pull these off, you take the plexiglass off of them, you paint the thing behind it, the same color as the trim behind that. And that way, I mean, it's summertime, so it won't matter. That way, everything's uniform when we put it back together. The cheapest method of doing this would be to do all one color everywhere, no changes. I wouldn't recommend touching this flashing. It matches the roof. I would leave it the same. Maybe hit the backside when I do the eaves. Make sure that everything is scraped and primed up in this area. But I mean, it looks great. But now we're looking at, I would say, 2 coats of paint. I'm assuming that this is pre-primed, which is why they caulked it and why they committed to the pre-primed trim. They got pre-primed siding. So stain is no longer an option. This side is in really good shape. So a little bit of scraping and priming. Now I use a primer called Kelbond Ultra or Peel Bond. It is a thicker, high build bonding primer. And that I would use just in the areas where there's flaking paint or on the eaves. So then we want to go ahead, we want to rinse everything off, scrape and prime everything, mask all the windows. Then we want to decide, do we want one color on everything or a body color with a trim color? Like in this case, most people would do green fascia and either a third color on all the windows, the same color as the body, or green windows all the way around. Now I'm gonna look one more time to see what we got going here. I would pull all of these, and that's gonna be in my quote. So in my quote's going to include touching up the caulking. I'm not gonna redo it. I'm not going to take the stuff out that's under the windows, but I don't recommend doing that ever. But just making sure that it's all good while I'm up here. Now, we're gonna pull off all of this plexiglass so that we can get to the trim. We're gonna spray the body 2 coats. And what I mean by that is 2 full coats. You just invested in brand new siding. The only way that I'm willing to do it is if I make sure that I get you 2 full coats on there. You can cover in one, and it would work, but you're in Bear Valley, and I don't want to put my name on anything that doesn't have 2 full coats. And during that application, I'm going to go ahead and push into all these edges on the sides. We want to penetrate. So if you get someone up here that's just going to spray it on there, that's not what we want. We want it to just, we want to be able to back roll it and back brush it to push it into every nook and cranny of all this. So, like, let's say this was your trim color. It's hard to tell what's going on here, but let's say that's your trim color. Then we would have 3 colors, the fascia being one of them, and it looks like just on the gable ends. But anyway, we need to come up with a color scheme. So we're going to touch up caulking. I'm going to go over this. We don't have to do it, but where I see it's rough, I may go over it with a quick sand. I'm going to include that in the quote. We're going to mask off all the decking. We're going to mask off the doors. We're going to go ahead and shoot and pressure wash, clean everything up real nice, mask off all the windows real nice. I'm going to go ahead and spray a full coat on all of this, back brushing and back rolling. So that's where I'm going to put it on heavy, and I'm going to roll it into every groove. Then let that dry for 24 hours. So it's all the way hard. We're going to go around. We're going to do another coat. That includes up there. There's going to be some fascia scraping, some priming and painting up there. There's quite a bit going on, but it all needs to be addressed. And then I've got all these that I would stain. So I would recommend sanding that bottom step rather than painting it. Paint is not going to hold up here. On a horizontal surface like this, this looks like brand new decking. We want to stain this. But anyway, we'll get to that. So this needs to be primed. That needs to be primed. This door, I'm assuming, was the same color of all the trim. So we want to come up with, see how many different colors I'm working with here? A color for the body, a color for the trim, and if you want to have a separate color for the fascia, so be it. You can go further than that and start accenting all the beams and everything, but judging by where you're at here, just getting a good start would be a good idea. And then if you want to customize it down the road, once the main part is just protected and dealt with, then that's great. But I don't recommend going too far just yet. Just get it kind of started, and then, you know, get your base color and then get a trim color. And then if I'm here and you decide, hey, we want to spice it up and we want all the beams painted a accent color, we can go as far as you want to. But I just got to start somewhere. This stuff in here needs to be primed. that back wall isn't in bad shape, but that's where we're at there. Now on the deck, I do oil-based stain. I would do a semi-transparent. Cedar looks best on this. However, it's going to take maintenance. Do not use a latex product. Latex products are like that. And it works on this part. And it could be a semi-solid stain. It works on the vertical, but on the horizontal, it just peels. And once it starts to peel, the water gets underneath. It's no good. This deck down here, what I would recommend for the time being, if you want to put a Band-Aid on some of it, but since you put all this money into it, the best thing to do would be to replace all this railing out here. Match that, stain this deck. This deck definitely needs stain, but that's perfect. That's what we want. This we stain. This is in good enough shape. And this is something you would plan on maintaining every year, every 2 years. But once it's done that first time, all you have to do is wash it and put one coat of stain on it, done. What I do with my clients is on the railing and everything, we'll do the full job the first time. We'll get everything stained, the underside, all of that. And then from there on out, every 5 or so years, we'll come back and deal with the railing if needed. The decking, we do usually right before winter in Bear Valley. Down in Arnold, we do it every other winter. So it's one of those things that you kind of keep an eye on. And then if you use this latex stuff, you've got to scrape it, you've got to prime it, and it fails every year. If you do oil base, you just lay the oil base on, you let it soak in, you're done. That's all there is to it. So that's my recommendation there. Let's take a look underneath here. I'm sorry this video is long, but coming all the way up here, I want to be very thorough. And right now, my schedule, I'm a one-man show. So what I offer is very consistent quality work. I'm on every inch of every detail of this house. If I'm coming to Bear Valley, I'm here for the long haul. I'm going to go ahead and, if there's something that comes up and we want to add or subtract from the job, I'm going to be here. That being said, I'm slower than other crews and I am expensive. I try to be right in the middle, not the most expensive, but I'm definitely not the cheapest. What I do in the prep, what I do every day is what I believe to be the correct way to do it. If it's supposed to be done quickly and cheap, I'm usually not your guy. We've got a couple of challenges with the metal roof. I may have to bring up a lift. First thing I would try is hook ladders up there. But if I don't have hook ladders, I may have to rent a lift, in which case I do have a little bit of access over here, but they don't like to be tilted too much. There might be a little bit of figuring out on these gable ends. That one I can access. That's not a problem. That one with the chimney there, I think we'll be okay. I'm pretty sure. I won't know for absolute sure until I get up there. So I'm not going to put in the price the lift. But just know if something comes up like that, if I'm up there, I do the best I can to make everything up front. I'll put, with some of these jobs with me by myself, I've got to come up here. I've got to kind of get into it and then see how the project goes if I need anything else. But I think I'll be okay there. Other than that, I think I've been pretty thorough. I don't know why they would caulk this and not this, and then caulk this. The undersides drive me nuts because you caulk the top, but if something gets through the top, now it's stuck there and it's going to rot that board away. So let's talk about that, but just for now, I'll get you a price on what we've got going here. 2 full coats. So please keep that in mind compared to other people up here. I'm going to have 2 full coats instead of the price of 1. When you're coming up to Bear Valley, do it right. That's the way really anywhere, but especially up here. When I'm up here, I'm doing it right. While I'm here also, I'm going to caulk in the cracks on the beams. I'm going to tighten it up. Just so like this area back here, it looks brand new. You got brand new siding. So I don't want to have these cracks showing. I don't do a quick paint job. You can look at some of my work online. But basically, if you go with me, what you're going to get is a brand new looking house. That's about all I got to say there. Thank you for sticking with me this long if you did. And I'll have some prices.